Welcome to Liberate University.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Liberate University. My name is Annelise Cherie and this is Cristina. We're here today to talk to you about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and some of maybe the unseen thought processing you can have around the virus.
I like the way you rolled on that. Corona. I can't even do it.
Corona. Just trying to bring some vitality.
Light. I mean, come on. It's a serious topic, but it doesn't mean you have to be so like this all the time. We can talk about it with lightness. Okay,
and
so
in fact, that's the point. The point is we really do want to. We chose this subject obviously because of what's happening in the world around us, but we also chose this subject because I think there are a lot of ways to look at the coronavirus. There's a lot of ways to interpret it, to perceive it. And hopefully today, some of the things that we go over offers you an opportunity into new perspectives and insight about how you want to choose to see and experience what is happening in this pandemic. So, so Cristina, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here. I'm excited.
Yeah, so I think one of the things to kind of start with COVID-19, the coronavirus, and this was something that came into my attention. My roommate is actually a biochemist, and she and I were talking a lot about like vaccinations and the virus, and so there's a fly. Vaccinations and the virus, and just like what kind of virus this is, and why we're taking such big measures of isolation and or shelter in place and things like this. And she offered a lot of really cool insight, but there was one particular thing as she was talking to me that just blew my mind, because on a metaphysical standpoint, what that really represents and means in correspondence to some of the subjects we're going to talk about is mind-blowing.
Okay, so let's hear it, because she was about to tell me before we went, and she's like, no, I'm going to save it. So I've been like sitting here like this, like waiting. If anybody knows me now from these videos,
oh my gosh,
I'm kind of crazy for information and I go down rabbit holes. So if somebody puts a little carrot in front of me, I'm like, tell me.
And now this like totally might flop because the anticipation is so high.
Wow,
it's like, did you know? I'm just kidding. Anyways, so this is what really stood out for me, and we can kind of go from here, because I think this is such an important thing to think about. So my roommate looked at me and she goes, Annelise, do you know why the coronavirus is called the coronavirus? And I was like, actually, I have no idea. Why? Do you know?
Because it has a crown.
Right. Okay. So the coronavirus itself actually has like an aura, a crown of light around it that looks like the aura and crown of the sun.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen any of the pictures of it with the little spikes all out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
cool. So scientists, when they were looking at the coronavirus under a microscope, they said, wow, this actually resembles the sun, so much so on a micro level, and therefore they gave it the name the coronavirus. It's almost like the sun virus, basically, like this illuminated virus, if you will. And the reason why this stood out to me so strong was because a lot of the like downloads and channeling and energy work that I've been doing about the virus is how, yes, this is a disease. This is something that's coming in and obviously claiming a lot of lives, and it's tragic, and there are a lot of sad things with it, but everything in life holds duality. Yeah. So as much as there is chaos, destruction, loss, death, there's also an incredible amount of light, rebirth, positivity, and so much abundance and opportunity within it as well. And what's really cool to me is like what really hit me and kind of got me reworking my whole interpretation of this experience for my own personal development was understanding that in a way, like this is like a light code, almost like a virus system that's coming in and like upgrading our systems with light. Like sun is everything to us. It's what brings us light. And I'm not saying that the virus is from the sun, just so we're clear, all those people out there.
The people that want to pick up things. She's not saying it comes from the sun, but the metaphor of the analogy.
Exactly.
That
it is kind of interesting and coincidental that the virus itself is shaped like the biggest illuminator in our galaxy, the sun.
Yeah.
And it's, what is the virus doing? It's illuminating all of the shadow aspects, all of the systems and structures that are not working, and it's forcing us to bring more light into the things that we otherwise have been ignorant to, ignoring. So,
Think about that for a second, because when you look at anything from a higher perspective, when you look at anything from the details of what's going on very specifically, and that's with anything in life. When you look at just a moment in time or one day out of your life or an hour out of your life or even a week out of your life, you're not seeing the whole picture of how that plays into the transformation that's going on over the period of time or the bigger aspects that are at play. And so when you get stuck in maybe like, are you getting stuck in the death toll or somebody that is sick or ill or has passed away, or when you get stuck into the drama and the trauma from the financial upbringing or this or that, you're not looking at the whole situation. And I do think that there's a lot of illumination that is going on. I mean, so I can't speak for every country in the world because I don't know every political landscape and cultural, societal norms and aspects that are going on within other areas in other regions. But in America, we are illuminating the fact that the news tells random stories back and forth and you can't trust anything. And for the first time, that's being shown in such a high light, and people are seeing it no matter what your political party and landscape is. You're seeing that the news tells you one thing one day and something else in the other, and you're realizing that these stories and fabrications are coming out.
Well, I think the big illumination, to take it on a deeper level, is the illumination that any way that you want to see, you can see.
Well,
everything's available.
But real quick, let me finish a couple other ones that are illuminating. It's illuminating the political stance and our different polarizations within the political landscape. It's illuminating our horrible healthcare system. It's illuminating our bad structured economy that was fragile. It's illuminating all of these. It's illuminating the fact that we've polluted our planet so bad that now it's showing that in just a couple months our ozone layer or ozone hole is being fixed, and our air in Los Angeles is better than any other metropolitan city in the world. Like what? So these are things that it's showing that it's like you can't not see them. And then that's forcing you to look at maybe these things that it's kind of like when you're going to have a person come over and your house is messy and you just throw everything in the closets and you close the doors. It's still messy, but you're not looking at it. This is like all the closets, everything's being thrown out, and it's saying, here, I'm brightening it up. There's nowhere to hide anymore. Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to clean out those closets? Are you going to throw away the stuff that doesn't work for you anymore? Are you going to reorganize?
Yeah. And so again, to go back, it's just, I think the bigger thing that we're having illuminated is just understanding how you want to see this, how you want to experience this is completely up to you. And there are available realities to plug into and choose to see and experience in whatever way that you want. So there's equally, as Cristina was saying, there's an illumination of all these structures and systems that are totally not congruence and working in any way to really support the greater good or collective good of everything. But there's also an illumination of where are we getting our information from? What are we choosing to really digest and take in? Are we becoming very narrow-minded to just one way of seeing and being, or are we allowing ourselves to understand that maybe the biggest illumination is understanding that whatever you want is available, and however you want to see and experience something is available. However you want to interpret and experience your life is available. It's all out there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge illumination, because what that comes back to is understanding that, I was going to say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but it really is.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And the empowerment of yourself, it's illuminating, on a micro level, it's showing you what doesn't work in your life, or what in this period of stay at home, I've heard more people having the dark night of their soul, but getting in touch with themselves in a way that they haven't gotten in touch with themselves. For the first time where you are spending time with yourself all day long. You're not distracting yourself. There's no entertainment that you can go and do other than watch some shows at home.
Which has a shelf life.
But like over time you might have plugged into a whole bunch of Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, and then you pull yourself out of that and you're still there. You're not going to concerts, you're not going out to drinks, you're not going out to dinners with people, you're not having this robust social life, so it's you with yourself. And at a certain point in time, I think anybody's having that experience where yourself is catching up to yourself and you're actually having that moment of being real with you. And that's illuminating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just really amazing too. About a month ago, I opened up some Reiki energy on the earth and connected to it and just got some downloaded information about what this virus is about and how can we individually exist within it. And one of the really amazing things that stood out was about like the earth energy that was coming through. It was like, she's in a place where she's ready to like grow and evolve. And I'm just using she as a loose term for an adjective to explain.
Well, they call Mother Earth. They say Mother Earth. So, okay.
Yeah. So more or less, you know, she's embarking on this journey of growth and evolution and stepping into a new place of recalibration and empowerment. And really we're being asked to do the same. And I think that this coronavirus is really illuminating, as Cristina was saying, just how out of balance and out of harmony we've become with the natural way of things, not just the interconnectedness of the world, but also within ourselves. Like, like not being able to know how to feed yourself, not being able to know how to exercise yourself, not being able to know like how to just be. Like,
well, not even, I'm going to be like silly here. Well, people didn't even know how to wash their hands properly. I mean, we got to teach people how to wash their hands. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Which, by the way, if you sing, this is my favorite, because like everyone's always like, well, you sing Happy Birthday washing your hands, and that's the only thing. But if you also sing Jolene by, what's her name?
Sing it.
God, Jolene. Why can't I think of her name? Blonde country singer. Anyways.
Okay.
Tigo Bitties. Yeah. Anyways.
I should know this.
That's good. You totally know who I'm talking about. Everyone does. There's probably like a bunch of people being like, oh my God, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry. But it is what it is. Anyways, I thought that was fun. If you're like,
yeah. But I mean, we're relearning everything here, and part of that
Dolly Parton.
Oh my God. But on the illumination of your life and things like that, and tapping into Mother Earth, I did something very kind of similar. I didn't tap in. Well, yes, I did through part of the process, but I did some shrooms and I tapped into the energy of the virus. Okay, and it wasn't this super bad, destructive thing, but it said it was here to teach and that it was here to change and shift and for people to remember the importance and the value of life and to also let go and of any of the past resentments, anger, frustrations, and other things that people are holding on to so they can be present in the now. And it would affect people that had different kind of conditions that were also a manifestation of these unresolved emotions that were already manifesting in their body. And that's why it would attack. And it's been, if you're realizing through the news, they're seeing more and more different organs and different aspects and different types of symptoms are coming on because it's actually literally affecting people in different ways. It's not always just affecting the lungs, which the lungs are interesting on a metaphysical level. The lungs are grief, right? You know, and so it's how do we get to that empowerment, raise our vibration, and illuminate ourselves. I'm not saying that, you know, don't take precautions and make sure that you're, you know, healthy and taking care of yourself and just think that, you know, like, but there is a level of, and I mean, this isn't hooey-wooey science stuff, hooey-wooey metaphysical stuff. There's science behind your mindset. And, you know, like how I laughed myself back to health, a book that was written back in the like 70s or whatever, and started UCLA School of Positive Psychology because this gentleman had terminal cancer, was left to die, watched sitcoms in his hospital room, and suddenly the cancer went away, and it spread this whole like research on positive psychology.
Yeah, another really great book on that subject is Dying to Be Me, which is the same concept. So check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And in that, and they've done numerous different studies across many different universities on a global level, that the more positive you think about things, and even all of the effects of placebo effects, you think you're going to get better, you think you're more positive about certain things, you're more optimistic in life, you get sick less. So there is something to be said about that.
Well, I think it's so amazing that you bring up this subject because it's so relevant to this current experience. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, I can't wait till things go back to how they were. But I find that so weird because, I mean, honestly, I would say 90% of people that I've spoken to, whether they were clients, friends, family, acquaintances, whatever, have been out of balance, like in disharmony to some extent, and just, you know, breaking their backs to make things work and not really feeling, not everybody, but I would say the vast majority globally, not just in this country. And I think it's really incredible because in a way, like to speak about the mind being really a manifestation of the external reality, like what you are inside creates the external reality, then there is something to be said about this virus coming at the time that it did, and really maybe being a result of how much disharmony and dis-ease has been in the human collective experience. This, you know, this pursuit of just like working to gain, it's very cancerous, like, you know, just consume and work and it's never enough and keep going and trying to build yourselves by external validations.
And not taking care of yourself.
Totally.
And I mean, like, America's, you know, the most obese country in the world, and the different, like, it's just energy drinks and things and move instead of like, I mean, when you said learn how to feed yourself, like, no, for real, like people are just learning about, one, how to cook, but two, about like taking care and proper nutrition. And because there is this looming fear that I got to be healthier and I got to do good for myself, it's forcing people to learn, how do I take care of myself? How do I make better choices? Maybe I shouldn't eat that unhealthy food or have all those drinks. I'm going to eat something that's a little bit more nutritious because I want to feel better and I want a better immune system.
Well, a whole nother layer to that too. It's like when this pandemic first really kicked off globally, when it went from being an epidemic to a pandemic, like grocery stores running out of food. And it really put into question in a lot of people's minds of like, oh, wow, what if that structure went away? What if the ability to just go to the grocery store and pick up whatever stopped? Like, do I know how to really be self-sustaining and know how to take care of myself and exist and not just exist and survive, but flourish in that state? And so that's another huge illumination that's coming up about and I talk about this a lot just because I feel like it's such a huge theme with the virus and what is going on. And what is going on is really illuminating where we've been powerless and where we can become more powerful, self-realized.
Yeah. And in what things, like what things just wasted and occupied our time that we didn't really, you know, even value. And honestly, I don't know about you guys. I lived pretty modest before, but I've cut my expenses and my living habits like down to a quarter of even what I was living before. And I'm fine, and I don't feel like I'm lacking or that
and
anything.
In fact, you can gain more from that.
Well, exactly. Like, you know, I love all the new recipes that I'm learning at home and all the different things. But we don't need as much as we thought that we need, right? And you're talking to a pretty minimalist person here, and I'm saying that, and I know that a lot of people are having that same kind of feeling that, you know, everything that was we don't need all of that. Well, what we need and what we really want, good relationships and friendships, to feel good and to be healthy, to feel that we matter and that we're living in a space of joy, to feel safe and to feel powerful.
Yeah, I mean, and that brings up such a huge subject because like a lot of that illumination is a result of us having to go into isolation. And what the isolation is really bringing into focus is, first of all, are you living in environments that really are good for you? That's a huge thing. And like, because where you give your time to is what you become and what you're intertangling with energetically, which is a whole thing. The other component to that is so many people that I have worked with and just existed with, and myself too, it's like, I'm going to be real, like sex has become meaningless. Like nothing is satisfying you anymore. And like, there's always a need for something better, and you obtain it and you realize, I'm not happy with this. I need something more, this more, not good enough, like empty experiences. And we really have just forgotten like the natural gifts of life, like you were saying. And so the isolation concept has really been a gift and an opportunity for us to really start taking back just the basics, the very basics of being a human being. Like, what is value? Yeah. What matter? What's the point of having all of these things? So to just have it, to hoard it, or to be able to use these external things as a way to create more love and connection with other beings and share and grow with someone and like
and be present.
Yeah,
like
for
real. So for the past like 18 months, I have a beautiful place, but I've been worker bee, and I never walked right up the hill. And one of the first days, a couple days into quarantine, I walked right up the hill. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that it was like I entered a different world, a different country. It was like I entered into Little Italy, and the streets and the jasmine bushes and the little tiny, like cute, like in large houses, all this different things. But I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful up here, and the smells and the nature and the different things. And I was like, I can't believe I lived here 18 months and I've never walked right. Like, I'm talking one block. One block up a hill. But the point being is that that moment of stillness and just going on these 30-minute walks adds so much value to my life. I'm just present. I'm just going. I say hi to people, and when I see somebody I know, it's like this beautiful new eye contact instead of I have to run because I have somewhere else to go. It's like being present, being so grateful to have that connection for that 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long, and then moving forward. But I don't know, maybe that sounds silly to you guys, but for me, it was everything to remember that just a walk could be so meaningful.
Yeah, as she said, it's, where this virus is giving us an opportunity. And I think maybe that's like the wrapping up point. It's like this virus is giving us an opportunity to go back to stillness and just being and really remembering, like, what is value? What is value? What really matters to me at the end of the day? If something like a pandemic rolls around and my normal routines are ripped away and I have to really take my own responsibility and authority about how I want to experience it, become aware about where you really are within yourself and how you're operating in the world, how does that create a new value system? And so in general, the coronavirus is here. It's illuminating a lot of ways of being and structures that we've been existing in for a long time. And we're really starting to see, and it's going to continue to go in this direction, you guys. It's not going to go backwards. It's only going to keep going into dissolving of certain ways of being and structures. We're only going to continue to expand in our awareness of things and our awareness of self. And it's just important to understand the best that you can, to know that it is an available option to perceive the virus as an opportunity. And of course, I'm not saying that to discredit the seriousness of it. It's tragic what is going on. But again, as I said in the beginning, there's always duality in everything. And as sad as this is on so many levels, there is opportunity within it. And, you can just decide what you want to focus on. And, focusing on the opportunity does not mean you're being ignorant or like to what's happening. You're just making a choice to put your energy somewhere and making a choice to, acknowledge it. Yeah.
Which makes me, I want to say something on this, because no matter whether it was the coronavirus or whether it was X, Y, or Z, on a global level, look at the history of the whole planet. We've had world wars, famines, diseases, pandemics, tragedies over and over again. And when you look at an individual life, you can say that it's almost like a rite of passage, that you're going to go through different things. The other day, I have a little boy client, such a little wise guy. He's 12, and he was like talking, and we were working through the stuff with school and being stay at home and everything like this. And he was talking about whether he was going to do homeschooling after this was over, because his mom was talking about that. And the most intelligent little comment came out of his mouth, and he said, well, I kind of want the experience of going through school, because even if I'm dealing with bullies, that's part of life, and that makes me, I learn things through that. And, you know, it's part of growing up, and it's part of learning. But he's saying the bullies add to his life existence. Like, you know, and then it's a rite of passage in a way of going through an adversity or a challenge so he can grow. Mm-hmm. This is somebody that's 12 that gets that. You don't think, like, our lives, we are given disappointment so that we understand value. We're given obstacles, and there's one video that me and Annelise did. Go and check it out about looking at obstacles as opportunities. Mm-hmm. But if you see that for the timeline of your life, and if you had a child and you're raising them, you say, okay, you know, I have nieces and nephews. There's certain points where you say, okay, well, this is just part of their learning process and their growth. They need to go through this disappointment or this challenging time or this life experience. And we need to do that as a society and as a planet. And so whether it was the coronavirus or something else, so if we don't choose to learn from this, there's going to be something else that hits us in a couple years.
Yeah, and you know what? That's actually really, I'm glad you said that, because honestly, I feel like this is as crazy as it has been, and as many lives that have been lost, which is tragic. I actually do feel like this is kind of a gentle nudge from the universe. And that if we don't make the adjustment, that gentle nudge is going to turn into something else and like be way more severe. And I don't mean that to, like, you know, fearmonger or whatever, but I only say that because I will say this, it is not a joke. This is a very clear, and it's interesting. It's like the experiences keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, it started with environmental pollutants and a lot of awareness around this, and like, okay, like in, you know, meat factories, like this is not sustainable, population overgrowth. These are all like the first gentle nudges of like, okay, maybe we need to wake up collectively, come together, not individually, you know, separate countries, and figure this out, because this is a real thing. And we all, you know, kind of, all of us, myself included, played a little bit of ignorance to all of this, until things started to level up a notch. And the next thing you know, Australia is completely on fire, or the Amazon is on fire. And, you know, it's like all these things, they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until now we're here at this point where it's like where we grow through pain and struggle, or we grow through joy and abundance. And like,
I mean, this is a gift that we're given called life. And no matter how long or how short your life is, are you making every day the best of it? Because you never know. Like, there's a pandemic that can happen just like this, like that you've seen. Mm-hmm. But there's also a meteorite or whatnot, or whatever your theory is, and the dinosaurs can come and wipe out a whole, species and all the animals that lived. Or, you know, there's the polar shifts that happen, and then you have a place like Antarctica that has been proven scientifically that was once a tropical climate, that has a river that's bigger than the Amazon in it, and they're starting to discover all this stuff there. Mm-hmm. And frozen woolly mammoths, little baby woolly mammoths with vegetation in the stomach, which means they just ate grass and then they're frozen. Okay, so this change can happen just like this, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to be frozen standing up. You know, I don't want to be like, oh, Pompeii's a good example of that. If anybody's ever seen Pompeii, they literally got frozen from a volcano, like mummified in the ash. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, people are sitting there, like, you know, breastfeeding a baby or making pottery and just frozen, you know? So we could have it way worse. Let's learn from this on this level, and then trust on some spiritual level. I don't know your belief systems, but I believe that life is never created nor destroyed, merely transferred. So whatever you want to take with that, but even the souls that are lost are never lost, they're transferred, right?
Yeah, and if we want to bring that even down to just like 3D realm and keep it pretty simple, here's the deal. we either only live once or we live forever. Okay, so make the adjustments. Like, do what you got to do. And I think I don't care where you sit with your belief systems or whatever. If you're alive during this time and a human being, you feel it. You know what is coming up within you. You see what is going on globally. You see the illuminations of your fears, anxieties, limitations. You also see the illuminations of your empowerment, your strengths, and your wisdom. And now it's just about making a choice. And I've said this before, and I believe it very firmly. In a sense, this virus is bringing forth an ascension. And I don't mean that in a biblical sense. I mean that in the mind, the mental capacity, where it's like, we have an opportunity here, and nobody's going to decide this for you but you. Do you want to ascend past your fears, your limitations, your limiting emotions and beliefs, and allow yourself to literally elevate into a more trusting, grounded perspective and perception? Or do you want to consciously choose to stay consumed in your suffering, your fear, and your doubts? And honestly, nobody decides that for you. And that's where you can really start to take authority of, wait, I don't have to see it like this. Like, I can experience this differently, because you can. And so, I think that in a way, like, this is an opportunity, and we spoke about this in a previous video, where like that ascension creates a polarity. It creates a huge divide, because not everybody's going to do it. And I think it's important to understand that, like, not everybody is going to use this opportunity to evolve into a healthier perspective. A lot of people won't, and that is okay, honestly. Like,
but if you're here and you're listening, that's probably that you have some power over your life, and you're longing to have a more positive, fulfilled experience. So just try on what we say. You don't have to take it as absolute, but try it on.
Yeah, totally. Well, I hope this helped. I hope this gave you guys an opportunity to realize that there are many ways to see and experience this. The point was to just give you some new perspective and some insight around the coronavirus. What are some things to think about? What are some things coming? What is this all about? To give you the best opportunity to just make choices about how you want to frame the way you are experiencing things. And there's no right or wrong way. Where you're at is where you're at, and how you choose to see is how you choose to see. I fully support that. But if there are things that resonated with this, please comment, share, like, do whatever you got to do. If there's things that you would like us to clarify or expand on, or subjects you would like to hear us talk about, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to chatting with you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you for being a part of this class. We hope to see you at the next one.